Megan. So today we're going to be doing the third booster session, and we're going to be talking about discipline again, but we're going to focus in on consequences today. So again, just to talk about the purpose of the booster session. So we do these because we want to offer more support to families so that they feel really confident and comfortable implementing some of the positive parenting strategies that they learn in their sessions. So today, the schedule, our session schedule is going to be, again, we're going to focus on choosing and delivering age-appropriate consequences. So first we'll talk through some potential child problem behaviors, and then we'll discuss and choose logical and age-appropriate consequences for those behaviors. We'll then watch different video clips, some YouTube video clips of parents disciplining their children, and we'll have a brief discussion about each. We'll practice delivering consequences, so we'll do a little bit of a role play, and then at the very end we'll reflect and problem solve around any issues that come up, and then you'll set a goal for yourself for the week. So let's review some of the key messages for this session. So these are things that we want you to walk away with having a better understanding of. So the first is that children have to be directly taught about consequences of their behavior when they don't follow a rule. Consequences should be clear and realistic and age appropriate. They should happen immediately after the behavior and should occur every time that behavior occurs. So that's when the consistency piece comes back into play. And then the last, when parents are calm and provide clear and realistic consequences, their children have fewer problem behaviors. Okay, so let's start our first activity. One of the important ways to being consistent is to have plans in place for dealing with any misbehaviors. So having some established consequences is one way to do that. So let's talk through 4 problem situations, and we'll come up with some appropriate and realistic consequences for each. So the first one, your child is whining in the grocery store. What are some logical consequences that you can come up with for that?
So it depends on which child is whining, or maybe they're all whining, but my response is going to be different based on where each child is at or their age.
Sure.
So like if the baby, he's a toddler, if he's whining, then I'm probably going to try to meet his need, because usually whining is because he doesn't have that many words and he's like tired or crabby or something like that. So I'll try to distract him. I might pick him up, just see like if he's hungry, maybe he gets whatever it is I think is going on, I'll try to respond to that specifically. And then like with my 3-year-old, a lot of times I just ignore the whining altogether, and I try to like reaffirm when she uses the right voice and just say, oh, you asked in your 3-year-old voice, good job. And so if it's whining or crying or kind of trying to have a tantrum, I just a lot of times just ignore it.
Yeah, I think those are both appropriate consequences for each age group. So for your younger one, you're doing more distracting, and then for your 3-year-old, you are ignoring that behavior. So the behavior is not severe enough. So I think planned ignoring is a good consequence for that misbehavior. Okay, so the second one, your child is playing with their food at the table and refusing to eat. What are some logical consequences for that misbehavior?
So again, with the toddler, like he'll get more options. I try to think about it strategically ahead of time and just put like the meat on the tray first, so that when he's hungriest, he'll eat that. Otherwise, a lot of times he'll just pick out the pieces that he wants or whatever. So if he's playing with his food, I'll try to maybe just isolate and just give him a little bit to choose from and try to, but I also think, playing with your food at that age is good, because he's like exploring and doing all kinds of other.
Sure, it's normal for that age.
Yeah. But for my older kids, like if they're playing with their food, they're probably not eating. So that means sometimes they'll say we only have a certain amount of time to eat, and so then if you play, you won't have time to eat. Or they might knock something over or spill because they're playing instead of eating, and so then they have to clean it up. So if she knocked her cup over, I'd give her a paper towel and she'd have to clean up the spill.
Yeah, because that's an age-appropriate expectation for her to be able to clean up her own mess if she makes it.
Mhm.
And she knows the rule is we sit down and we eat our food without playing with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. The next one, your child runs away from you while you are outside together.
So that one I usually just probably would grab, try to just get the child and say, like, if we're at the store, you have to sit in the cart, or you don't get to walk on your own, like, I'm going to hold you, or I have one of those backpack things with the leash, like, some kind of thing to say, like, we have to be safe, and so.
Yeah, because this is more of a misbehavior that would require a little bit more attention on your part, because it's not something that you could ignore, is what I'm trying to say, because it's a little bit more of a safety issue. So
Yeah.
It sounds like you would pick up your kid and make sure that they know this is not a safe behavior.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, the last one. Your child is using their crayons to color on the wall. What's the logical consequence here?
So I take the crayons away so you don't get to have crayons anymore, and I always try to say, like, crayons are for the paper. And then, like my 3-year-old, she has to clean the wall off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll give her a little wipe or scrub brush or whatever, and she has to clean it up.
Clean it up.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. Great. So now we're going to move on to the next part of, we're going to watch a couple of video clips, and after each we're going to have a brief discussion about how the parents were delivering the consequences. Okay. So after watching that first clip, what are your reactions to that? Like your initial reactions or some of the things you noticed?
Well, I noticed that the child seemed to be, like, reaching out and trying to, like, get someone's attention, and there wasn't really much response, or wasn't effective.
Yeah. And did you hear, or were there any consequences given? And were the consequences age appropriate?
Yeah, I didn't hear any consequences. I heard her just say, like, stop it. Just sort of, like, short sort of commands, I guess, if that. But nothing like, this is what's, if then, or this is going to happen, or something like that.
Yeah. Did you think that worked?
Nope, it didn't seem to work.
Yeah, because the child kept crying.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, so then now let's think back to the second video that you saw. What were your reactions to that, and maybe what was different in that second clip?
Yeah, so in that one, the first thing I noticed is that he, like, recognized kind of what was at the root of it for her, and then, like, gave voice to it. So he was like, are you crying because you don't get an orange? And then she was like, yeah. And then, like, from there, he just pretty much offered her a lot of choices. And so, like, I guess it was effective because she felt empowered, and I think she was distracted by, like, all of the good choices that she was being offered. So then she got to make a choice to stop having a tantrum.
Yeah, and then she was able to calm herself down and then get that. I don't remember what it was that she wanted. They got to play a game, so then she was able to attain that reinforcement for calming herself down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I noticed that in the first one I didn't know much about why the child was acting out, and then the second one I really clear as to why, and so I think that's kind of reflective of the parenting too, because just watching, like, so
yeah, that's a good point.
yeah, the parent understanding more of what's behind it.
Why the
It's
child's
helpful.
upset.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, so keeping what we just talked about in mind, let's move on to practicing and role-playing some of these strategies, so delivering consequences. Okay, so let's practice how to give clear and direct consequences in a calm manner when your child misbehaves. So we'll start with you acting as your child and not doing what you're told, and I'll play the role of the parent at first. And then we'll swap roles, and you'll play the role of the parent, and I'll be the child. So here's a situation we're going to role play. So your child is playing with their toys, and now it's time to take a bath before going to bed. Now let's imagine that I gave you a warning a couple minutes ago that it was almost time to clean up your toys, so you know that this is coming. And I'm going to give you the instruction to clean up. So the first time you should refuse to comply. So, in any way you're refusing. And then I'll repeat the instruction to clean up, and then you should refuse again. And then I'll deliver the consequence to you. Okay, so do you have any questions before we begin?
No.
Okay, so let's start the role play now. So Rebecca, it's time to clean up your toys. We gotta take a bath.
Okay.
It does look like cleaning up your toys to me. Rebecca, it's time to clean up your toys.
Look at the yellow one. 5 more minutes?
Okay.
5 more minutes?
No, Rebecca, if you don't clean up your toys now that I'll have to take away your toy and you won't be able to play with it for the rest of the day. Can you clean up your toys now, please?
Just 5 more minutes. Look,
Nope.
just one more.
Nope, you know
One
that this is... Okay. Alright, so let's stop the role play there. Alright, so do you have any questions for me before we switch roles?
No.
Okay, so now on the next role play, you're going to be the parent and I'm going to be the child. So remember that you're going to instruct me to clean up and I'm going to keep playing. So we're going to do that twice and then you're going to deliver the consequence. Okay? Alright. So let's start the role play.
Okay, Megan, it's time to clean. 5 more minutes, it's time to clean up.
I don't want to.
Okay, you got a couple more times and then it'll be time to clean it up.
No.
Okay, Megan, it's time to get a bath. We need to get a bath so we can be ready for school tomorrow. It's time to clean it up.
Nope, I hate that.
Okay, then I'm going to help you. I'm going to take it away.
So what are some of the things that you noticed during our role play?
Well, our role play went pretty well, but realistically, I think I've had times where my kids are like, they wouldn't just let it go. They'd be like hanging on really tight.
Yeah, they wouldn't give it up as easily as I did.
Yeah,
Or
they
did.
might like throw it or something, and then that's when you start to get all worked up as a parent.
Mm-hmm. So what are how are some ways that you can remain calm and still remove the toy from your child? If I have a grip on it.
Mm-hmm. So like a running dialogue, like talking them through, and like if you keep calm, then you kind of keep your power. So like I'm gonna remove your fingers now because I am taking this away, and I'm gonna put it over in the cabinet. It's gonna be there tomorrow. So like talking through what you're doing,
Yeah.
and trying to, I guess, just stay calm even though like the child is kicking and screaming.
Yeah, it's an aggravating situation, but it's important for you to stay calm while you remove the toy from them and not to lose your control, right? And just resort to, okay, I'm just gonna spank you just to get this over with and
Yeah.
take the toy from you.
Because it's really easy. I've done that before where you tap, do a
Yeah.
hand tap because their
Yeah.
hands are on there. It's just an
You
easy
swat
way
it
to
away. Yeah.
get the toy, but then you don't model good. You model something for them that you don't want them to do later, and then you do kind of give away your power.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you brought that up because this whole exercise was about remaining calm when we're giving consequences, and that's a real part of a real situation that can happen.
Yeah.
Thanks. Just a couple more questions about that. Tell me some things that you think you did well and maybe a thing you'd like to work on with that you noticed in the role play.
Well, I kind of started out by giving a 5-minute warning. And I don't think that was in your script, so I just did that. But in real life, I think sometimes it can go that way because maybe not giving enough of an advance warning. So give them enough time to prepare instead of oh my gosh, realizing it's time to move on and then giving a really short transition time for them.
Yeah, so it takes a little bit of prep as a parent too to sort of, keep an eye on the clock and know when bath time is going to happen and backtracking to give your kid that heads up, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And did you say anything that you think that you did well? I don't think you brought that up.
I guess just sticking with it. Like I said, this is what we're gonna do, and so like not giving in and keeping on track with what I said.
Yeah, and then not getting into that power struggle, which is what you talked about. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up this session with you thinking and telling me a goal that you'd like to set for yourself this week with delivering consequences.
I think my goal is to like sort of think about it ahead of time. So like when I know that I'm gonna set a limit, I'm gonna think to myself so that I can stay calm and not get into that power struggle because it's so easy to do that.
Yeah, that's a great goal to have, and we'll check in about that later. All right, thanks, Rebecca.
You're welcome.